The story of Fortnite continues to unfold, and things are getting intense. Daigo is missing, crime is spreading, and gold has taken over the island. According to a conversation between Jade and Kendo, Daigo is no longer on the island. That means he's exactly where he said he would go, the spirit realm. But there's a problem. During the battle between Daigo and Shogun X, the main spirit portal shattered, and the remaining portals vanished. Even if Daigo wanted to return, he can't. He's trapped in the spirit realm with no known way out. Meanwhile, back on the island, something strange started happening. The western regions of Oninoshima transformed. Leaves turned gold, streaks of gold appeared in the grasslands, and even the river started flowing with gold. But where there's gold, there's greed. With gold appearing everywhere, chaos followed. But one man, Fletcher Kane, took control. He's a robber baron who sees the opportunity to establish his own empire, building a network of banks and ruling the region with his wealth. As Kane's influence grew, so did the resistance against him. Skillet, a retired criminal, wasn't about to let Kane have it all. He called on the Looper for one last job, a heist that would shake Kane's empire. Using a batch of thermite, they cracked open a bank vault, then intercepted Kane's communications at Outlaw Oasis to prevent reinforcements. With the help of Skillet's associate Valentina, they managed to rob Kane's personal safe and escape with a stash of gold. But their actions had consequences. Elsewhere on the island, a chemist named Joss had her own suspicions. She believed the sudden gold rush was unnatural. Determined to prove her theory, she sent the Looper to Crime City to investigate the sudden appearance of Big Dill, who was preparing for a mysterious party. With more research, Joss made a shocking discovery. Traces of magic were mixed within the gold itself. The gold wasn't just valuable, it was supernatural. But if magic was involved, what was its true purpose? And who or what was really behind it? Midas stood at the heart of the operation, his golden touch extending beyond wealth. This time he sought control. The island was in turmoil and the 0-point shard was at stake. Kane and Daigo, two powerful rivals, were closing in. But Midas had a plan, and to execute it, he needed the help of a trusted Looper, someone willing to infiltrate the shadows and retrieve what was necessary. The mission began with a test of loyalty. To prove themselves, the Looper had to complete a shadow briefing, choosing from a variety of covered tasks. Shadow had always been loyal to Midas, and their resurgence in these operations confirmed that he was rallying his forces. This was more than a simple job. It was the beginning of a war against Kane's growing influence. With their credentials established, the Looper moved on to the next phase, securing alliances. The black markets were the key. Midas needed the outlaws on his side, or at least to ensure they wouldn't stand against him. With a hefty sum of 1,000 bars, the Looper greased the wheels of the underground, ensuring that when the time came, the outlaws would remember who had paid them well. But power wasn't just bought, it was taken. The Looper's next mission led them deeper into the black market's secret vaults, where outlaw chests held critical supplies. Not just anyone could access them though. A rare or better outlaw keycard was required, which meant those who had sought treasure had to earn it. By completing 10 stages of outlaw keycard progression, the Looper finally obtained what they needed and cracked open the chest. Inside, the tools for the next phase of Midas' operation lay awaiting. Then the mission took an eerie turn. Armed with a sensor backpack, the Looper followed the trail of something ancient, something powerful. The air crackled with energy as they climbed the mountains south of Crime City. There they found traces of something unnatural, a broken portal pulsing with residual energy. Looming above them was a colossal wolf statue, its gaze seeming to pierce through time itself. Whatever the 0-point shard was, it had already begun to disrupt reality. Time was running out. If Kane and Daigo were after the shard, Midas needed an edge. The Looper descended into the sewers beneath Masked Meadows, slipping through the darkness to find a hidden workshop. There, in the depths of the mask maker's hideout, lay a book, a guide to Daigo's mask-making techniques. If Daigo had knowledge connected to the shard, Midas needed it. The Looper snatched the book and disappeared into the shadows, unseen and unheard. With the book in hand, the Looper returned to the black market above Masked Meadows. Midas stood waiting, his golden eyes gleamed as he flipped through the stolen pages. His suspicions were confirmed. Both Kane and Daigo were closing in on the shard. But Midas wasn't just interested in stopping them. He had his own plans for its power. However, for now, he assured Jones and Hope that they shared a common enemy. For now, they were allies. The battle for the 0-point shard was far from over. Midas had set his pieces on the board and his game had begun. But was he truly a saver in this fight, or merely another player chasing ultimate power? The island trembled as forces beyond compression closed in, and as the looper stood at Midas' side, one question remained. Would Midas keep his word? The island trembled under the weight of an unseen war. In the shadows, Midas had begun his grand scheme, planned to disrupt the power-hungry Baron Cain and his growing empire. But this wasn't just about revenge. Midas needed chaos, a smokescreen to mask his true objective, keeping Cain distracted long enough for his own forces to strike. And so the Golden Mastermind turned to the outlaws. Under the cover of darkness, Keisha Cross sent the looper on a dangerous mission. They were to meet Cassidy Quinn, a skilled getaway driver with a knack for trouble. Their target, Fletcher Cain's prized vehicle, locked away in the heavily guarded garage at Lone Wolf Lair. The plan was simple. Slip in undetected, steal the car, and send a message to Cain that his control was slipping. But nothing ever went according to plan. As Cassidy and the looper crept through the lair, Cain's guards were already on high alert. The whispers of Midas' return had spread, and every soldier was under strict orders. If they saw him, they were to eliminate him on sight. When word reached Cain that his car had been stolen, his fury was uncontrollable. His voice echoed through the halls of his fortress as he shouted at his guards. "Stop talking and start shooting," he roared. A bounty was placed on Midas, the highest yet. No one would be safe from Cain's wrath, not until Midas was gone for good. But Cain had bigger matters to attend to. His deal with Daigo, his mysterious mask maker, was still in motion. Gold shipments continued to flow into Daigo's workshop, where something far more sinister was brewing. Deep within the workshop, Cain's henchmen hesitated. They were terrified of the dark magic that pulsed through the air. The whispers of ancient forces lingered between the walls. But Cain had no patience for their fear. The masks being created in this hidden lair were not ordinary disguises. They were infused with power, magic that twisted and corrupted, granting strength at a terrible cost. But Daigo's ambitions were beyond mere masks. He was working on something even more dangerous, something that should have never even been touched again. The mask hung on the wall like a relic of forgotten nightmares. It was a ruinous mass of power, once shattered in the wake of the Shattering War. Kendo himself had warned that it should never be restored, and yet Daigo had begun its reconstruction using kintsugai, the art of reforging broken things with gold. Gold, the very resource Cain had been feeding him in abundance. As Daigo pieced the mask back together, a silent force stirred within its core. Something dark, something waiting. The arrangement between Cain and Daigo was simple: gold in exchange for power. Cain supplied the riches and Daigo created his cursed masks. But there was something Cain didn't know. Daigo needed gold for more than just his craft. He was preparing for a confrontation of his own, one against the darkness that lurked behind the mask he now restored. Cain may have believed he was in control, but Daigo had his own agenda. And Midas, he wasn't just there to cause trouble. He knew what Cain was up to, and he had every intention of stopping him before it was too late. The pieces were in motion. Midas was rallying his outlaws, Cain was tightening his grip, and Daigo, he was playing with forces beyond his control. The island was on the brink of something far greater than anyone had imagined. What happens next? Will Midas outmaneuver Cain? Will Daigo finish his work? And what darkness is waiting within the mask? A storm had been brewing on the island. Midas, the golden tactician, had sensed a disturbance, something subtle yet deeply threatening. Fletcher Cain, the notorious Baron, was moving pieces in the shadows, and Midas wasn't about to sit idle. He sent out one of his most trusted operatives to investigate. Their first destination, Lone Wolf Lair. The lair, once a quiet stronghold, now held secrets that pointed towards something far greater than Midas expected. Inside, 3 key clues revealed the scope of Cain's ambition. In the office, confidential files exposed a chilling detail. Cain had been researching the 0-point shard, an artifact capable of reshaping reality itself. Near the vault door, marks and damage hinted at forced access. But what truly caught attention was what wasn't there. Inside the vault, a metal box lay open and empty, once filled with bars of gold, now completely stripped. But the most unsettling detail wasn't the missing gold. Hanging ominous on the wall was a strange golden mask. Elegant, arcane, unseen and completely out of place. It was clear this wasn't just about gold anymore. Something darker was unfolding. With the investigation pointing towards their larger operation, Midas began to strategize. Kane's actions weren't just reckless, they were coordinated. He needed to be stopped. But to do that, Midas had to understand the full plan. First, the operative was ordered to gear up. Only top-tier weapons and items would do. Then, they began systematically eliminating Kane's lieutenants, his alpha-heavy henchmen, each one loyal and lethal. The goal wasn't just disruption. Midas needed information. From the fallen lieutenants, one key discovery emerged. They were all following secret orders to transport Kane's gold to a mysterious collaborator, and Midas already had a strong guess as to who it was. To confirm it, an armored transport was intercepted, a high-risk heist but necessary. Inside was a fortune in gold, and a manifest confirming its destination, the Thousand Faces shop, known across the island as the Mask Workshop. The journey now shifted from gold to something far more supernatural. The Mask Workshop had long been abandoned by normal operations, but as the operative approached, a heavy, unnatural fog blanketed the air. It felt wrong, charged with dark energy, almost as if the island itself was trying to warn intruders to stay away. Something in the air made skin crawl. It was more than fear, it was spiritual resistance. Inside the workshop, nothing was ordinary. The deeper the operative went, the darker the magic became. Down in the basement, the truth was revealed. A massive mask-making machine, long dormant, had been reawakened, powered by Kane's stolen gold. But it wasn't just creating masks for Kane's guards, it was rebuilding something ancient and dangerous, the Sinister Mask. Crafted with arcane skill by Daigo, a once exiled master of mask forging, this artifact wasn't just powerful, it was capable of tearing through the boundaries between realms. With this mask, Daigo intended to breach the spirit realm and seize the 0-point shard for himself. The picture was now complete. Kane, desperate for power, had been manipulated. Daigo had promised him an army, alpha guards equipped with enchanted masks, and in return, Kane funded his efforts. But now that Daigo had what he needed, betrayal was inevitable. The operative returned to Midas, delivering the full report. The Golden King absorbed every detail, calculating his next move. Daigo had played Kane like a pawn, and now with the Sinister Mask restored, he had the means to execute a plan that could corrupt the very fabric of the island. Midas knew they were out of time. Stopping Daigo would require more than brute force. It would take collaboration, perhaps even with the very people Midas once opposed, Hope, Jones, and the so-called heroes of the island. Pride was no longer an option. The Zero Shard was too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. The order was clear. Daigo must be stopped, no matter the cost. And as the island braced itself for the next great conflict, only one thing was certain. The battle for the 0 point was far from over. After the collapse of his conflict with Shogun X and the narrow escape that saved Jade's life, Daigo vanished. No messages, no signs, only whispers from distant travelers who claimed they saw flickers of purple flame deep within the foggy woodlands of Magic Moses. But Daigo hadn't disappeared. He had relocated, intentionally and in secret, to a quiet riverbank far from the meddling eyes of the island's factions. There, surrounded by ancient stone carvings and roots tangled with old magic, he began rebuilding something long thought lost: the broken demon portal. The same portal that had once nearly torn the world apart. Kane, his silent guardian, stood watch day and night. No questions asked, no hesitation. He had sworn himself to Daigo's cause, though few truly understood what that cause even was. To Daigo, the path forward was simple. The spirit realm held answers and power, and above all, a way to save the island from something no one else had yet seen coming. He believed the threat was in the world of men, but beyond it. So while others chased chaos in the streets, Daigo prepared to rip open the veil between realms. As the reconstructed portal roared back to life, energy began to spill into the skies. At first it was subtle, just a shimmer in the air, a distortion in sound, but it grew. The light intensified. Magic, ancient and unstable, cracked the atmosphere above Magic Moses. Eventually, someone came to stop him. A looper acting alone arrived to end the ritual. They fought Kane with everything they had. It wasn't personal, it was survival. Kane, ever loyal, fell defending Daigo, but the sacrifice bought him enough time. Daigo stepped into the portal, and the world lost him. Inside the spirit realm, time moved differently. The air was heavy, the colors all wrong, and in that chaos something found Daigo. A presence. dark and consuming. It didn't speak, it didn't threaten, it emerged. Slowly, painfully, completely. The man who entered that realm was not the one who returned. When Daigo came back, his soul was no longer his own. The spirit realm had corrupted him, twisting his purpose, rewriting his thought, feeding his ego. He was no longer Daigo, protector of the island. He was his would-be savior turned demon. Back in Mass Meadows, rumors had begun to swirl about Daigo's abandoned shop. People said it was cursed, that strange lights came from within on moonless nights. Most stayed away, but not everyone. The Tasty Boys, an up-and-coming hip-hop duo, had a different agenda. They weren't hunters or heroes, they just wanted something shiny to rap about. So one night, under cover of fog, they broke in. They weren't looking for trouble, but they found it. Inside the dusty shop, hidden beneath cracked shelves and velvet curtains, they found a mask. One of Daigo's creations, ornate, beautiful, and powerful. Big Deal couldn't resist. He picked it up, slid it on, and in an instant his mind shattered. He saw things no mortal should see. Rivers of flame, skies torn open, Daigo towering over the island with eyes like dying stars. The spirit realm had shown him the truth, or perhaps just a glimpse of what was coming. Before they could run, the air grew still. The shadows thickened, and from the silence behind them, Daigo emerged. Not a man, not a mage, something else entirely. And far above them, beyond the reach of any mortal defense, something stirred in orbit. A spaceship cloaked in darkness and long-forgotten tech had shifted course. Drawn to the energy Daigo had unleashed, it began a slow descent towards the island, not to help, not to stop him, but to witness what came next. Because this was just the beginning. Daigo is no longer searching for salvation, he believes he is salvation, and he will stop at nothing to reshape the island in his image, even if it means burning it to the ground. After the Tasty Boys barely escaped Daigo's shop, word spread fast. Big Dill never spoke again, not in verses, not in whispers. Some say he still hears Daigo's voice, others say he left the island entirely, but one thing was certain, the demon had returned, and he wasn't hiding anymore. The corrupted energy from the spirit realm now bled through the island's ley lines, twisting wildlife, mutating landmarks, and cracking the skies above magic noses. Strange symbols bloom in the soil. Old stone guardians once thought decorative began to move, and every night the stars shifted a little further out of place. Then came the ships. First a ripple in the clouds, then a low, thunderous hum that stretched across the sky like a warning. Star destroyers. Hundreds of them. The Empire had arrived. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.